Hello, dear viewers. Today we will explore 15 different political ideologies that shape the world of modern politics. Are you ready to learn more? Let's begin. Let's start with liberalism. Liberals recognize the value of individual rights and freedoms, as well as support for a free market and democracy. They prioritize the rights of the individual and acknowledge the need for limited government intervention in the economy. One of the most interesting aspects of liberalism is its emphasis on individuality and respect for diversity. Liberals believe that diversity of opinions and ideas is a source of innovation and progress. Thus, they support open and free exchange of ideas and information. Moreover, liberalism actively advocates for limiting the power of the state over personal freedoms and citizens' rights. The goal is to create conditions where each person can freely develop their potential without being constrained by norms and standards imposed by the state or society. Another interesting aspect of liberalism is its pursuit of justice and equality. Liberals acknowledge that inequalities exist in society and seek to eliminate them through principles of equality before the law and equal access to opportunities for all citizens. Finally, liberalism promotes the development of democracy and the protection of human rights. It advocates for the separation of powers, free elections, protection of minorities, and the rule of law. Thus, liberalism is a philosophy that prioritizes freedom, individualism, justice, and democracy, making it one of the most important and interesting political ideologies. Next is conservatism. Conservatives adhere to traditional values, support stability, and believe that change should occur slowly. They often advocate for limited government intervention and recognize the importance of family. Conservatism is a political ideology that emphasizes the importance of traditions, stability, and order. Key aspects include fear of radical changes, respect for cultural heritage, protection of social institutions, limited government, economic conservatism, individual responsibility, patriotism and nationalism, evolution, not revolution, resistance to modern trends, diversity within the conservative movement. The third ideology is socialism. Socialists strive to create a fairer society through state ownership and regulation of the economy. They support the idea of social solidarity and protection of the most vulnerable members of society. The most important aspect of socialism is its emphasis on social equality and collective ownership of resources. Key points include social equality. Socialism aims to reduce or eliminate economic inequality by advocating for fair distribution of wealth and resources among all members of society. Collective ownership. Socialism promotes collective ownership of the means of production, such as land, factories, and businesses, rather than private ownership. This is often achieved through state ownership or cooperative ownership by workers. Public services. Socialism supports the provision of essential services, such as health care, education, and housing, as public goods accessible to all citizens, regardless of their financial status. Worker empowerment. Socialism prioritizes the rights and welfare of workers. It seeks to empower workers through measures such as collective bargaining, workplace democracy, and profit sharing. Moving on to communism. Communists advocate for a classless society where the means of production are owned by the community and call for complete equality. Communism is an ideology and economic system that seeks to create class and economic equality. In a communist society, all resources belong to the community as a whole, and production is organized to meet the needs of all its members. Communism idealizes a society where there is no exploitation, poverty, or social inequalities. However, in history, there have often been difficulties in implementing communism in practice, and attempts to do so have often led to authoritarianism and violations of human rights. The next ideology is anarchism. Anarchists advocate for the absence of the state and complete personal freedom. They recognize the need for self-governance and reject the idea of government. Next is libertarianism. Libertarians recognize the value of individual freedoms and advocate for minimal government intervention in citizens' lives. Libertarianism is a political ideology that adheres to the principles of minimal government and maximum freedom for individuals. Here are the key features of this ideology. The central tenet of libertarianism is a belief in individual freedom and rights. Libertarians believe that every person has the right to freedom of choice and self-determination, without interference from the state or other institutions. Minimal government. Libertarians advocate for the idea of limited government. They believe that the role of the state should be minimized, limited to providing protection from violence and ensuring property rights. Everything else should be left to the market and civil society. Free market economy. Libertarians support a free market and competition. They believe that market mechanisms are best suited to solve economic problems and ensure efficient use of resources. Private property. Libertarians defend the right to private property. They believe that private property incentivizes individual responsibility, creativity, and economic growth. Following that is fascism. Fascists advocate for an authoritarian state, nationalism, and a strong leader. Fascism is an authoritarian ideology characterized by authoritarianism, nationalism, and dictatorial rule. Here are the main features of this ideology. Authoritarianism. Fascism involves strong centralization of power in the hands of a dictator or party. It advocates for strict control over society, as well as repression and punitive measures against opposition. Nationalism. Fascism promotes the idea of national superiority and the duty of citizens to serve the interests of the state. It propagates militarism and the pursuit of national greatness. Cult of the leader. Fascism supports the cult of the leader, who is seen as the embodiment of the national idea and authority. The leader is often worshipped as an unquestionable authority with unlimited power. Fascism was widely spread in Europe in the first half of the 20th century, leading to the emergence of regimes such as Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and others. Its ideology, though it had its supporters, was also condemned for its extreme cruelty, intolerance, and violation of human rights. Nationalism is an ideology that acknowledges the importance of national interests and advocates for the protection and strengthening of the nation. Nationalism is an ideology based on strong patriotism, belief in one's country or nation, national superiority, conviction of one's nation's superiority over others, authoritarianism, inclination towards strong centralization of power, hostility towards other nations or races, often accompanied by discrimination and hostility towards other groups. Environmentalism advocates for environmental protection, sustainable development, and reducing the harmful impact on nature. Ecologism is a political ideology based on the protection of the environment and nature. Here are the main principles of this ideology. Preservation of the environment. Ecologism recognizes the need to preserve natural resources and biodiversity for future generations. Sustainable development. Commitment to creating sustainable economic and social systems that do not harm the environment. Environmental justice. Environmental issues should be addressed with consideration for social justice and respect for human rights. Resource consumption reduction. Ecologism advocates for limiting the consumption of natural resources and reducing human impact on the environment. Feminism is a social and political movement aimed at achieving gender equality in all spheres of public life. Here are the main principles of this movement. Equality of rights and opportunities. Feminism strives for women to have the same rights and opportunities as men, including access to education, employment, political participation, and other areas. Against discrimination. Feminism fights against all forms of gender-based discrimination, including sexism, gender stereotypes, and oppression. Solidarity and mutual support. Feminism encourages solidarity and mutual support among women to ensure fair representation and protection of rights. Feminism evolves in different directions and forms, including liberal, radical, Marxist, post-colonial, and others. However, its goal always remains the same: to achieve full and equal participation of women in society. Anarcho-Feminism combines the ideas of anarchism and feminism, advocating for personal freedom and gender equality. Conservative feminism adheres to traditional values while advocating for women's rights. Left libertarianism combines the ideas of liberalism and socialism, advocating for personal freedoms and social justice. We've now looked at 15 different political ideologies, each with its own unique features and values. We hope this helps you better understand the complex world of politics. Thank you for watching. Until next time.